Inheritance. I am from an ancient merchant family. Far outside the city, our family even has a huge family estate, passed down from generation to generation. This house with a bunch of mirrors inside always seemed gloomy to me. And when my mother disappeared, I completely began to hate him. I was only 5 years old when she simply disappeared, leaving all her belongings in place, leaving without taking anything. No note, no trace. That day, my father was at work, and I alone wandered around the creepy house until the evening and called for my mother. My father put his whole life in search of a wife, but it was all in vain. Mother caught a cold as a trace. But recently my father died, and now I have become sole heir to the old building. Firmly determined to sell the gloomy house, I decided to inspect it one last time. When I went inside, I was immediately flooded with memories of my childhood and of my mother. After going around several rooms, I decided to look into my mother's room. Father left everything here just as it was with her, as if hoping that one day his wife would return. In thought, I stumbled and with all my might slammed into a mirror hanging on the wall. The mirror creaked inside, revealing a passage. Secret door. I turned on the flashlight on my phone and took a step towards the unknown. Behind the mirror was a small room with corridors and doors leading in different directions. Now I understand why there are so many mirrors in this house, they are like windows. From the secret corridors, the whole house was visible through the mirrors at a glance. Here is my old room. How glad I was to leave here, away from these terrible night knocks of the old house. Looking closer at the mirror window in my room, I noticed that it was stained and smudged with something. "I love you, Mom," was written on thick transparent glass with something dark. Blood. Well, exactly. Dried blood. I looked around. Behind me lay a desiccated mummy in a woman's dress, around the skull of which the remnants of blonde hair scattered. Mother. I remember this dress. Turns out she never left. All this time my mother was here and tried to get through to us. These are the sounds I heard at night in my room. So, she couldn't get out. And then I heard the mirror in my mother's room creak into place. The flashlight on the phone went out. Run out of charge. I broke out in a cold sweat. Luchik. Mila slammed the door with her foot and slammed the heavy grocery bags near the entrance. How nice it was to move the stiff knuckles again. Taking off her shoes and throwing off her jacket, the girl dragged her bags into the kitchen and began to sort them out. When Mila put the fruit in the box, a bright beam of light hit her eyes. For a few seconds, the girl was blind, sunbeams ran before her eyes. As soon as she regained the ability to see, she ran to the window to understand what had just happened to her, and immediately received a new portion of light in her eyes. From surprise, Mila lost her balance and hit her shoulder painfully against the corner of the refrigerator. True, this time the girl managed to notice where the glow came from. The 6th floor of the house is opposite. Looking closer, Mila could see 2 children's silhouettes in the window. The kids played with the laser pointer. Damn it. Well, now I will ask you. Let's see what your parents say about this. The girl got angry. Mila opened the window and showed the assholes her fist, to which one of the boys raised his hand to his neck and showed a gesture, as if he was cutting his throat. It's also threatening, you little goat. Wait, I'm coming. Mila's soul demanded justice, but meanwhile a bright green beam continued to wander around the kitchen and the large room of the apartment. The girl flew out of the apartment like a bullet, angrily turning the key in the lock. She herself did not understand why she was so turned on, but she could not help herself. Having quickly figured out the location of the apartment, Mila, After a few minutes, was standing at the door of the pranksters and persistently pressed the bell. "Who are you two?" I heard a voice behind the girl. It was the mother of the boys. She briefly left the guys alone in the apartment and was now returning home. Mila told her what her children were doing in the absence of their mother, and the woman promised that her sons would immediately apologize to the girl. When the apartment door opened, two pale, frightened guys were standing on the threshold. "Mom, my uncle wanted to kill my aunt with a knife." The younger boy rushed to his mother, and we pointed at him with a pointer. He then hid behind the closet, and the aunt ran away. Mila's soul went to the heels. She stood and could not utter a word. The children's mother herself called the police and invited the frightened Mila to wait at their house. When the police arrived, they immediately went to investigate the crime scene. The handle of the front door to Mila's apartment was shaking. Someone was trying to get out. The girl gave the key to her apartment to the police, and only now noticed that its tip was broken. Apparently, he remained in the keyhole when, in a fit of rage, Mila closed the door, in a hurry to punish the naughty. This prevented the criminal from escaping. Mila was lucky that the neighbor boys noticed the intruder in her apartment in time. After all, he was not just a robber, but also a murderer. After the suspect was fingerprinted, it turned out that he was responsible for 4 more similar crimes. The killer entered the apartments of his victims, and then raped and killed them, taking valuables and money with him. After the incident, Mila put lamps throughout the apartment that turn on at the slightest movement in the room. Party. Every year, Lika hosted a Halloween party at her dacha. Over time, Lika's party on October 31st became a good tradition among her many friends. Every holiday, Lika surprised the guests with something new. On the eve of All Saints' Day, the girl, as usual, decorated the house with cobwebs, hung scary paintings on the walls with images of ghosts and vampires. By the appointed time, gradually guests arrived, wondering what surprise awaits them today. All the invitees were already assembled, only Lika's boyfriend was missing. He was supposed to arrive early and help decorate the house, but he sent a text that he was stuck in traffic. There was a knock on the door and animated exclamations of the guests. "Waiting for you downstairs," the girl read a message from her beloved. Lika finished with makeup and hurried to the guests. According to her calculations, the surprise should have had its effect by now. Going down to the living room, the girl found the fun in full swing. "Lika, this is just a bomb. You have outdone yourself," shouted the guests, passing each other a ball. "Was it made to order?" "No, I ordered it from China," the hostess of the party answered contentedly. "Wow. At first we were completely stunned. The head is like a real one. And this guy in the hood, who brought? Actor, right. Creepy dude. What head? I baked rubber fingers in cupcakes. What do you have in mind? And where is Glory? He wrote that he was waiting for me downstairs." There was deathly silence in the living room. The doorbell rang again. A minute later, the cries of the party guests could be heard throughout the neighborhood.